I tried to defend it. I tried to give it the benefit of the doubt. And even when everybody was saying that the Death Rider storyline should just be scrapped, I said no, no, no. Instead, they should just improve it a little bit and try and get to the finish point a little bit faster. But there was just no defending the angle last night. That was one of the worst finishes that I have ever been to a wrestling pay-per-view. Probably the worst finish to any All Elite Wrestling pay-per-view. But I'm gonna get into all of that and more. I'm Ben Allison, you're watching Allison Analysis, and here are my 5 key findings from All Elite Wrestling's Dynasty 2025 pay-per-view. In at number 5, the Jericho and Bandito finish made absolutely no sense. First things first, I'm absolutely thrilled that Bandito is the champion. He is the new Ring of Honor champion. He deserves it. He still has his mask, so I'm absolutely thrilled about that. But if a referee can overrule another referee's decision, well then basically none of these Jericho title defenses make sense, practically no heel matches make any sense, and absolutely none of the Death Rider storyline makes sense. Secondly, and this one's a little bit more funny, why did Aubrey just recklessly believe Bandito's family? I mean, they could have lied and planted the bat there themselves. I mean, why didn't she check the tape or something like that? I mean, that's another issue with this. Basically, this entire finish just absolutely sucked. It was overbooked, it was a complete mess, but the fact is Bandito is now champion, and I am happy about that one. I'm happy the title is off Jericho, but I will give Jericho some praise for a quick second, right? Because the dude is 54 years old, I think 53 or 54 years old, and he is still putting on really fun matches. I did enjoy this, and I don't think many people really acknowledge the fact that Jericho is one of the few ever in wrestling history who can still put on really good matches at that age. It is seriously really, really impressive, but the angle, the finishing sequence, whatever you want to call it, it makes no sense. It was nonsensical, and it sucked. In at number 4, Cope should be kept off TV until Double or Nothing after the FTR heel turn. I mean, going into this match, it was fairly obvious that FTR were going to turn heel, but I had no issue with it. It made sense, and it was the refresh which FTR did desperately need. And the trios match between the Death Riders and Rated FTR was a lot of fun as well. That match actually exceeded my expectations. But the post-match attack, the brutal attack on Cope was exactly that. It was brutal. Multiple pile drivers, a concerto to finish it off. And we know Cope, then known as Edge, retired due to neck injuries, right? So the fact that they suffered, he got attacked in this way, should mean he has to be off TV for at least over a month. At least until Double or Nothing. That way it will generate more heat on FTR, and when he returns, it will be a bigger pop from the crowd. But the big question here is, did FTR actually plan the heel turn? If not, then that is an issue. Because the way they did it when they hit that shatter machine or whatever it is called now, both of them would have had to have known at that moment that they were going to do that. Otherwise, well, it would have not worked. So I'm guessing, or at least the most reasonable explanation, is that they both agreed pre-match that if they lost, they were going to turn on Cope, and if they won, then they weren't. There are still some logic holes in that, but that does at least make enough sense for me to be okay with it. Anyway, like I said, I'm all here for an FTR heel turn, and I do presume this is going to lead to FTR versus Christian Cage and Adam Copeland at All in Texas, and I'm also here for that. That'll be a very fun storyline, but in the next couple of months, they do have to have a lot of ground to cover. In at number 3, this was the night that Anthony Bowens became a star. Now, I've always said he has a lot of potential. I've always said that I wanted the Acclaim to split up so we can see his potential because he's got so much of it. But this exceeded my expectations and then some. The look for his entrance, it was fantastic. He felt like an absolute huge deal, and the crowd was absolutely amazing for it too. And fair play to Max Caster, and that's not something I say very much, but fair play to him for putting over Anthony Bowens in this way. He let him squash him, and it was brilliant. But my question is, why wasn't this on the main show? If I was All Elite Wrestling, I would have kicked off the main pay-per-view card with this. I would have done the exact same thing they did, because it was perfect. But I would have just done it to kick off the pay-per-view so more people would see it and it would feel like an even bigger deal than it was. But the only other issue, or potential issue, I should say, is that they do have a lot of top stars right now. And Anthony Bowens now should be a top star or, upper mid card or whatever. But there are just so many people in All Elite Wrestling and around that rank that it will be a little bit difficult, I think, for Anthony Bowens to stand out. But I believe in him. I'm here for him and I'm going to be cheering him on. But before we do get into the top 2 key findings, if you guys could leave a like and subscribe, that would be massively appreciated. Here at Wrestling Republic, we create between 5 to 10 free videos every single week. And in addition to that, we have a live daily stream every single day at 8 p.m. UK, 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Pacific. I hope to see you guys there. Thank you. In at number 2, Megan Bayne looked incredibly strong in defeat against Toni Storm. Going in, I did say I wouldn't have been against Megan Bayne actually winning this match, but I was not convinced at all that it was going to happen, and I'm not necessarily sure it even would have been the right decision. Because right now we were in the middle of peak Toni Storm, peak timeless Toni Storm, and that Rocky Balboa promo package she did, it was fantastic. That entrance was brilliant, and Luther, well, he was really entertaining during it. I will say the only real negative about this match was I thought Penelope Ford was getting involved a little bit too much. I thought that was kind of taking away from the match itself at points. But of course, for the last few minutes, it was one-on-one Toni Storm and Megan Bayne, and it was really, really fun. And I know a lot of people don't like roll-up finishes, but I am somebody who is famously, not against them at all. I do actually quite like roll-up finishes, and this was the perfect example of one when one makes a lot of sense. It protected Megan Bayne while still giving Toni Storm the victory. Now, the question is, will Megan Bayne eventually defeat Toni Storm? I would be not against that at all. In fact, that is potentially right now what I would do. I would start building up Megan Bayne, getting her to have, more wins and more mid-card title feuds, not mid-card title feuds, mid-card non-title feuds, and then you continue building her up from there and eventually have her face off against Toni Storm again, maybe around All Out in September? But regardless of whether or not that is the plan, what needs to be the plan is Megan Bayne does need a few non-title mid-card feuds and needs to win a few of those in the next couple of months now, right? She can't take any more losses, and she definitely shouldn't go straight into a TBS title feud with Mercedes Moné, because I'm sick of talents doing that in this women's division. Literally, it's either they lose to Moné and then challenge the World Women's Champion, or vice versa, but they need to stop doing that. And in at number 1, the finish to Mox vs. Swerve was one of the worst things that AEW could have done. Fans are fed up of this Death Rider storyline. Fans were fed up of the EVP storyline. So why on earth would you merge the two? I was one of the very, very few people who was given the Death Rider storyline the benefit of the doubt for the longest time. And even after that, I was saying they shouldn't just scrap the storyline, but instead they should maybe just speed it up a little bit and make it more compelling on a week-to-week basis so it can still benefit whoever does take the title off of Moxley. But scrapping it would have honestly been better than whatever the hell this was. Fans were absolutely fuming at the end of the show. Our Instagram comments were full of AEW hate, and it annoys me because this was a really, really fun pay-per-view for the most part. And this one thing is now going to be the cloud which hangs over it, the one thing which haters use against the company for months to come. It just gives fuel to the haters. I just don't understand it. Why on earth did they think this was a good idea? Please, can somebody tell me, right? Because yes, it is getting heat, but it is not good heat. It is not heat that makes you want to watch the product the next week. It makes you not want to watch the product the next week. The only positive about this was the Hangman and Swerve stuff, which is such a common theme, right? In All Elite Wrestling, pretty much the underlying, positive to everything is either Hangman or Swerve, and in this case, both. But I did not like the match, and I absolutely despised the finish. But like I said, overall it was a fun pay-per-view. Now, a big issue with it actually wasn't just the Death Rider storyline, but it was also the length of the show. It was, I believe, about 4.25 hours, and it just didn't need to be that long. It's a B pay-per-view. It could have been 3.5 hours and been just as good. I would honestly have scrapped all 3 of the Owen matches. They were all fun, they were all great matches, but they would have been great matches on Dynamite if you did them there as well. I don't think they needed to be on this pay-per-view. And then I would have put Bowens versus Caster on the event instead. The exact same angle they did just on the main show. And I think then it would have been a much more enjoyable length. But I'll say it was decent overall because, yeah, it dragged at times. The finish, which is the most important part, did absolutely stink. But the triple threat, which I didn't even talk about, was an absolute banger as well, right? If you haven't seen any of it, make sure to check out Omega versus Ricochet versus Bayley, because that was on our rating system a 5-star classic, according to Kobe Galanzowski. But what did you guys think of the show? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, and I will see you guys around the same time tomorrow to talk about Monday Night Raw. See you guys then. Have a good night. Peace.